Hey, what's good? It's CADILLAKTRACKZ. I'm doing another beat making video. Man, my last beat making video messed up. I just recorded 45 minutes. I didn't even realize it was messed up. But I haven't done this in a while. I haven't made a beat in a while, so I'm just making one here for y'all. I like to make these videos so we can show you how to use Fruity Loops and Maschine together. And I do have a template that I also sell, but these videos don't really cover the template. To see the template, you would have to see my machine and see the buttons that I press. The template allows you to push buttons on machine hardware and have those buttons trigger different commands up here in Fruity Loops. So it's like Fruity Loops and Maschine combined together. But I make these videos so that I can make sure everybody's aware of different tips and techniques on using Maschine and Fruity Loops. So this is something I'd started, and I'm already all the way into it now, but I'm just starting the video all over again so that we can make sure it's working right. So I was just making the drums, so I'm going to go over the sounds that I've added so far. Appreciate everybody showing support on my channel and everything like that, so let's go ahead and get into it. All I did was I picked up a piano. I've showed you that you can load up a sound inside of Fruity Loops. All you need to do is right click on a channel, go to insert, or you can go up here to add, and you can add up the instrument or add in the instrument. So I went ahead and I added this piano right here. I like to obtain and purchase and try different sound packs, VSTs, plugins, drum kits, but I haven't done that recently. I've just been kind of sticking with what I have. I haven't been doing a lot lately. But I went ahead and I loaded up this piano, went into the piano roll, and we just made a simple melody. You can see it's real simple. I did add another octave, so I took these low notes and copied them, and then I brought them down one octave. But you can see it's just a simple pattern. I just play one note and I hit 4 keys up top with my right hand, and it sounded like this. Well, I'm trying to show y'all it by itself, but yeah. So we got the piano right there. What I did next was I went ahead and I cloned that piano, so I made another piano just like it. And then on this piano, I went ahead and I added some effects in. On this piano, I went ahead and I added in, what is that? On this piano, I added in some effects right here. It's a delay, a Valhalla delay, and a Valhalla room. I also added this backmask plugin in. This is a real crazy plugin. It's hard to describe what it does. One of the things it does is kind of reverse sounds though, and it sounds like this right here. I just hit a few notes on that piano, so you can see just 1, 2, 3, 4, and it sounds like this when they hit. If I would turn it on, all right, it's on, but I have it all muted. Actually, it's all fucked up. You can't even hear it because I need to turn on my effects. So let me turn on the effects for this piano so you can hear everything going on like this. Alright, so then I added after that I went ahead and I added a Nexus. This is a guitar, I believe. It's got a guitar rig, and it's a little pattern, a counter melody. Alright, once I did that, I added this lounge lizard, which is just a Rhodes, and I just added some keys. You can see right here, those keys just go up and down, kind of like a little like riff. And these are the notes on the guitar I hit, just a very few notes, 1, 2, 1, 2, 1, 2, 1, 2, and just going up and down. So the lounge lizard sounded like this right here. Shit. Oh, I can't push mixer while I'm recording. But this is the lounge lizard sound right here. It sounds like this. Let me delete these other ones. So it's kind of a little melody. I liked it, but I figured I should have like a synth or something playing that melody. So I did go in Dune right here, and I did play that same melody inside of Dune. I found the preset. I got lucky. I just found one right away that I liked. It was this one called Yan's Room. And let me just make sure the mixer's open. And it sounds like this. It's the same pattern, just a different sound. And these notes right here, like I don't know if I like how it hits right here. I don't like how it hits, but fuck it. I don't like how it hits, but that's how I have it. I might change that later. And then I just did one more sound. I put a little voice. It's like a Vox. So I went inside of Contact, and I was able to find a good Vox. And Contact has these sound banks from Hevosity. Shit, you can't even see the damn company. But it's called Hevosity. And man, they're awesome. They got so many different ones. They're just like, I think they're the best. But they have little vocals. So I put a little vocal in right here, and it sounds like this right here. And when I put the vocal in, I put some effects on it. I slowed it down, and I put like this weird rotary effect on it, and it sounds like this now. That's how it sounds without the effects, but with them, let me turn on the little knob. It sounds like this. Isn't that crazy? So that was pretty cool. So that's what I did, man. All those effects and stuff were killing my CPU. The CPU was already just hurting and crying and staticking and shit. So, man, what is this plug-in? What is going on there? So those are all the sounds I put in the beat after we did that. And most of the time what I'll do is if I have the sounds going right here, I'll make them all the same length. Then from there, I went ahead and opened up the browser. If you have my template, you can browse through these with your knob. You can click a button and browse through and load them up. You can even load them inside a Maschine. Once again, it's easy to load up a sound inside a Maschine. Just bring it right here on a pad. You can have different groups. You can open up keyboard mode. And you can do a very lot. Sliding notes and all type of things. So you could lay the pattern inside a Maschine or Fruity Loops. Went ahead, laid it in Fruity Loops. I just picked a bass. I have this kit right here, 808 for Days I sell. It's 1,000 808s, no duplicate. I had a program that had to go through and find duplicates. So that's a good thing, man. It's the best. But I went ahead and I loaded up and I made a pattern. And I figured I would just follow the bass notes, the root notes of the piano, these ghost notes. So that's what I did. And I put a few slide notes in there. They're not that great, but hopefully they'll come together with the drums. I definitely probably need to edit it maybe. But it sounds like this right here. This is an 808 pattern. And this is my draft. Open it up. All right, here it is. So that's what I did. I laid down those notes, and then every now and then I'd come up with a high note. And it has that little slide. That sounds cool. I think we need to see how it sounds when it comes together, and it might be too much. Some of these notes might need to come in or out at certain points. So we got that little 808, loud as hell. And that's where I was, man. When I stopped the video, I was just on the drums. So what I'll do with the drums, a lot of times, Once we have this stuff set up, another thing I went over in the video is I showed you the very first thing I'll do is I'll open up my machine and I'll click on the top left up here. And if you go down to Smart Disable, you can use this option to turn the machine on and off. It'll save you CPU and power when you're not using machine, if you're doing something in Fruity Loops. And then you can just turn it on when you're ready to use machine. So I went ahead and I turned it on. And what I do usually is I click, once the machine is on, I click on the browser button and I go to groups. And once I go to groups, let me show you right here. You can kind of see. I'll go to groups, and then once I go to groups, on the right screen, it'll have all these different sections. I'll use my knob, and I'll go down to lax. Once lax opens, I'll use another knob, the 6th knob, and it'll let me do sub banks. So I'll go in, and I'll open up the sub banks. Once I do that, it'll load up all my kits. I have like 318 that I've loaded in. You have to keep loading them in as you make them. And from there, you can hold shift, and I can scroll up and down this huge, you know, all these drum kits I've made since I got machine, and it can scroll up and down quickly by using the shift button. Otherwise you'd be turning that knob all day. So I just went ahead and loaded up Lax Kit 18. It just loads right up. I have it all color coordinated and everything. I do pick fixed velocity, so I did that. I picked fixed velocity. I just started going through and laying down notes, so I'll kind of show you right here in keyboard mode. See some notes I laid down on. This is one hi-hat, then I had another hi-hat, and then I have a third hi-hat. So I usually use multiple hi-hats, and then I got these little snares right here. This snare, I went ahead, I like this snare, so I linked it. You can link 2 pads to trigger at the same time. You just click on the pad button, go to where it says group link, and put them on the same number. So this one, every time it hits, it goes ahead and it triggers 8. So these are actually linked. And we have a little drum pattern with that. So that's where I kind of left off, and this is where it is so far. So go ahead and play this. I gotta turn these effects back on to get it to sound the way it needs to sound, but I have them off, saving CPU. That's another trick you can do. You can turn off the effects on your sound, save your little CPU until you're ready to go down. Alright, man, so this one's ready, man. Like, I was just working on the drums, and as I mentioned before, usually when I have my thing set up, it looks like this, my screen. So I'll have machine. Once we're at this point where we've loaded up the drum kit, let me go ahead and close this stupid thing right here. Once we've loaded up the drum kit, I can either draw in the notes right here the classic way, and if I'm going to do it that way, I'll usually just go up here and I'll double click on the channel rack. I'll make it big so it's full screen, 16s or 4 bar or whatever, and I'll just lay out the pattern, man. I'll start painting my picture, and otherwise, I'll go ahead and I'll just start laying them down in machine, just push record and start finger drumming different things in machine. Or I'll do a combination of both. Like right now I have these hi-hats and this snare. I can go ahead and easily and lay down the kick right here. So just kind of figure out whatever works best for you. If you're a very good Fruity Loops or long-term user, you might be very familiar with laying them down in the step sequencer. But if you're a finger drummer, it might be a lot easier for you to finger drum. If you have my template, I have a template set up. You need to watch my videos, understand how to use it. You can record all 16 channels simultaneously. You could literally finger drum your drum pattern. They would all record all at the same time, and they would all be quantized on time, just like machine. And they would all drop right here into the piano roll, and you'd have the notes right there. So you can do a lot with my template if you're really good with your hands. But otherwise, you can go ahead and just draw them in, or you can go ahead and sequence them in machine. So let me show you something while I'm doing that, and then I'm gonna go ahead and go on to these drums. I don't know if I'm gonna do it. I like to use both of them, so actually I'm gonna keep these hi-hats in machine, and I'm gonna go ahead and lay down some kicks. So just a moment here, I'm gonna pause this video. Where's the damn pause the video, and I'm gonna go ahead and lay down some kicks and some more drum sounds and come right back. All right, so I'm back right here. Went ahead and laid down excuse me, went down and got something to eat. But no, I went ahead and laid down these little I only do the few drops, run that little drops, little dots, and lay down the kick, lay down the open hi-hat, lay down a crash, lay down a percussion. I have this wood block, but I couldn't find anywhere to put it. Alright, so we got our percussion sounds. One of the things that I'll do when I lay down sounds, remember you can lay them down right here, you can lay them down in Maschine. So I'm showing you both right now. You should be getting something right here. These sounds right here, like a lot of times, like the sounds only go 5 bars. I'll go ahead and I'll make them, you know, the full length. You can push Control A. If you go right here, if you push Control A and you hold down Alt and then you put your mouse over one, you can use the wheel to turn the velocity up like I'm doing right there. So we can turn the velocity up. I can also hold Alt R, and from there I can get this thing right here, which will randomize the levels and the pan on these. So it's gonna pan them and it's gonna actually randomize the levels. So that's what we do. So I'll go ahead and just do that to that sound right there. I'll do the same thing to the other perks, like for example, this one's going the full 9 bars. Sometimes I'll pan one. You can see to the left and to the right. Just gives it a little pan basically. And I even do the same thing with the hi-hats. Like these are the hi-hats right here. I'll even go in and I'll pan them, and you can see they're already kind of pan left and right. With these, you can do the same thing where I can just try to find ways to give it groove, basically. Those hi-hats, I'll keep them where they are. So I like everything how it is right now, so just keep everything like it is. And wanted to show y'all that though. Go right here into the piano roll, excuse me, and make sure that all the velocities are high. I like to have all the velocities hitting at 100% on Fruity Loops for the drums. And then when it comes to mixing them, I mix them at different velocities. So they don't actually all hit at the same, but they do all hit like they're normalized, or they all hit at the same impact. All right, so once I do this right here, it's good that I can show y'all this. You can see I have hi-hats on Maschine and I have drums in Fruity Loops. What I'll do is I'll go ahead and I'll move the drums from Maschine to Fruity Loops. I want them all on Fruity Loops so that I can sequence them out inside the playlist easily. So what I'll do is I usually bring the channel rack over here to the side. I just do this because my screen is small. It's actually big now, so I don't have to do that as much. But I can go right here, and what you do is you click right here on the piano roll. You want to make sure that that is selected on Maschine for the sounds that you're looking at. So we'll click the piano roll, and you can see the little notes hit right here. And all we do is we click the MIDI drag button and we bring it over. So this one right here, I can see it's my second snare. That's why I've color coordinated stuff and have it set up a certain way. So that's my snare 2. So I'll just go ahead and I'll drag it. I'll bring it over here to snare 2 and I'll drop it. I'll go down, or I can push down on my keyboard if I wanted to. And this is snare 3. Push down on the keyboard. There's nothing here on snare 4. This is hi-hat 1. I'll go ahead and I'll drag it over here to Fruity Loops. Well, that's weird. Oh, that's fucked up. We don't want this loop thing on. Wow, are you serious? Alright, I'm gonna deal with that later. Alright, I think it's all. I was just looking at how these notes, first notes are all like darker, but I'll figure that out later. Alright, so we're adding stuff in. Let me click down over here. This is hi-hat 2. And so you can see this process only takes a second. It's only taking me longer because I stopped in the middle of doing it. But this doesn't even kill your workflow, and it can happen so fast. And there I'm done. So I've just loaded up all the sounds that I had loaded over here on Maschine on the Fruity Loops. So now that we have them on Maschine and Fruity Loops, we don't actually need them playing from both at the same time. So I'll just click the pattern button on my Maschine hardware, and I'll go to pattern 2. And pattern 2, as you know, is empty, so now Maschine is not playing back any sounds. Alright, I'll go ahead, I'll close Maschine, and you can see right here we have all our stuff come over here. I'm not sure what's going on with this loop mode and shit. It's all fucked up now. But I'm not sure how that happened. Looks like the snare, if you look closely, you can see that it's going over. Any notes that go over will cause the playlist to extend itself. So always check for that if you got your extension on the end and all that. All right, so we got our notes right here. On those notes, on these snares, one thing I can do is you can always hold Control, right click, and it'll zoom out and let you see all the notes. Just push Control A and then hold Shift and push D, and it'll change the note length of these. Fucking ass. Put it on none and then push Control D, and it has no note length, so it doesn't drag over at all. It's just a little tip, and also that's how you can get notes to appear back as dots after you've have them on piano roll. You can turn them back into dots by using that technique I just showed you. That's like a advanced shit nobody knows, but it took me a long time to figure that one out. But yeah, once it says a piano roll, you can change it back to dots by doing that, changing the note length to discarding the note length. All right, so we have these sounds, and we got a drum pattern. As you can see, it's all on pattern 1. So we still got some stuff to do. I might as well go ahead and do it. Well, I can't really do it while y'all are watching, but we need to EQ these sounds, and we also need to, so I'm going to skip that, the EQ of the sounds, which will be part of the mix, and go off to the next step. This is my next step usually. Once I got everything set up like this, what I'll do is I'll do this. I'll actually go ahead and I'll save the beat, and then I'll go to save new version. I do that because I want to have 2 copies, the original copy and then this new copy where I make this change. And the change being that I'll go into the sounds and I'll rename them. So this will be Lax Piano 1. I like it to be capital so I can see it better. This will be Lax Piano 2. This will be Lax Guitar, and I always just do it like that. I mean, when they bring up the track out in the studio, it'll be Lax Guitar. This is Lax Keys, and this is this is Lax Keys too. Shit. And then we got Lax Faults. Alright, so we went ahead and we just basically renamed all our sounds. All I'll do is I'll hold down Control and I'll drag with my mouse and I'll highlight all of these right here. You can see that they're in order: 17, 18, 19, 20, 21, 22. It's important they're in order. I'll push the mixer button and I'll go to the mixer right here starting at 17. I'll right click. I'll go to channel routing and route selected channel starting from this track. And it went ahead and it routed them. I don't need the separator on this one. Or I do need it on this one, but not on this one. Alright, so we now have all our tracks, and you can see that it has the name and they're all the same color. And like I said, we're going to go through and we're going to EQ all these sounds. I'm not going to do it now with the video because, well, I guess I could do it now. I'll show you a little bit about how I do it in a moment. So we have all our sounds right here. Usually when the beat's done and we got everything going, yeah, you want to turn your buffer up. So, and this is what we'll do at this point. I'll go ahead and I'll start to sequence the beat out. Sometimes I'll put another sub bass for the intro, but we're going to keep it like this. And since everything is organized like this, I'll go ahead and I'll save. And it's important to save it again. So now we have the second one saved with the name of the instruments. if I have an Omnisphere plugin or some type of plugin that'll mess up, sometimes Omnisphere and other big plugins, if you close the project and came back to it like a month or 6 months later, it might actually lose the preset or the patch. You should always save the name of the preset or the patch as the name of the instrument if you have that option, or if you have a plugin that can do that, reset itself. Alright, so once we have all this set up, I'll basically just go to the piano roll, or I mean the playlist. You can see it right there. And I'll go to pattern 1, I'll right click it, and I'll go to split by channel. Everything is already set up on that channel 1. When I split by channel, it splits all my sounds into different channels. From this point, I can just simply click one, hold down shift, go all the way down to the bottom, highlight all of them, and drag them over. That's one way. Once they're over, I do like to make them all the same length. It kind of helps me. It helps me just to realize when they're starting and stopping, and you don't have to do it. Sorry, so I went ahead and I made them all the same length, and I'll just select them all, and I'll push Control B, and I'll start going. You know, I can click right here and I can see how long I am in the song. I'm at 1:35. I want it to be about this good 3.5 minutes. And that's it. I'll go ahead, I'll zoom out. If I didn't want to zoom out, I could just hold down Control, right click somewhere on the screen. It's going to let me see the whole screen inside of the screen. And from here, we'll go ahead and start sequencing the beat, taking in and out sounds and zooming in and doing stuff like that. So I'm going to go ahead and try to make a basic layout for the beat real quick. I'm going to pause. Alright, man, I've been messing with it a while, kind of sequencing it out, and I wanted to have these bars, and then I wanted to have a spot where one of the bars, it kind of breaks down and starts going slow-mo. So that's what I have right here. This is how I add automation if I want to add it in just a small spot, and this is how I do it. I'll go to the mixer and I'll automate the on and off switch for the effect that I need. And so what I've done is I've created an automation clip. I went to right click, create automation clip. And when I did that, it made a little clip, and it's just the length that I selected it to be. So whenever this part hits, halftime comes on and the effect takes place. Any other time, the effect needs to be off. So yeah. So what I can do is I can just have a section revert, like right here. It's a similar section size. And I'll go here and I'll click on it off, like that, and I'll go to create automation clip. Once I do that, it'll come right here. And so I know if this one is going to be off, then I like to go ahead and I like to change the color. Green means go, red means stop. So there it is. And I'll put this one wherever I need it. You know, if I need it in the other places like this, basically to the beginning of the song, and just wherever I need it. So that's how I do the automation. Boom. Actually, it's gonna automate, and then it's gonna start over. Yeah. So there's also another effect taking place right here. So I did that. I turned the halftime on and off, and also. Also, what else happens right here? This right here comes on. This halftime on the drums comes on. So I'm gonna go ahead and create an automation clip with it on. These will be the drums halftime. This will be the drums halftime. I don't know why I did that. Yeah, anyway. So those will be the drums halftime on, and then I'll make one for when it goes off. So this is the easiest way I've learned how to do automation. Select a length and then automate the parameter on and off. And if you want it to come up and down, you can also change the events. All right, so we went ahead and created an event right there, and then that's it right there with it off. So since I know that this is off, I'll go ahead and I'll change the color to red. It just helps me coordinate or whatever. Helps me to know what the hell I'm looking at. Where's my damn paintbrush? Alright, so that's it, man. And once it comes right here, this is when I want it to actually start over or have a hook. So I'm gonna go ahead and delete this, and once it gets there, it kind of starts over. It plays this right here, which is the hook, and yeah, I might actually play just this right here. I was gonna have the drums come in on this one, but fuck it. Everybody likes repetition. So I have it go like this. Of course, I have two of these going to, and then I have it, repeat itself. And then repeat itself again. And then from here, it will be fading out. I'll be at 4 minutes at that point. So that's kind of a basic sequence for the beat, or how I kind of see it in my head. So once we've sequenced it out like this, one thing that I'll do is I'll go ahead right here and I'll go to an empty pattern. Since this pattern 18, I like pattern 18, but I don't like what it's named. It's going to be named Wax Guitar 2. Alright, so what I'll do is I'll go to an empty pattern, like pattern 20. Since it's highlighted like this and I have it selected for the whole length, I'll go up here to the volume knob and I'll go to create an automation clip. That is an automation clip for the master volume. I can actually put this on top since everybody wants to play. Put it on top like that, and I'll go ahead and I'll copy value. Once I've copied the value, I'll put a point right here on them, and I'll go to paste value. That way it's a straight line from that point to that point. And then after that, it can go ahead and fade out. So I'll have it start fading out. And that's about it, man. I'm going to go ahead and end this video. It's already 30 minutes. At this point, I usually go ahead and I'll put my tag on there. Lately, what I'll do is I'll just get the tag like this, and I'll actually drag it into the playlist. There's better ways of doing it. Better ways of doing it, but shit, it's not like I have a lot of placements anyway, to where this would be like in the way or something. So yeah, I'll go ahead and I'll put it there, and a lot of time I'll drag it to how long I want it or how slow I want it to be. Like that's kind of fast, but that's kind of slow. So I'll just kind of like automate the length by dragging it. And I'll put it like that, and I'll go ahead and I'll turn it down. So this is the point right now where the beat's kind of already made up. I showed y'all how we made all these patterns right here. We loaded instruments, we made patterns, then we went ahead and we loaded drums. We sequenced some out on Fruity Loops, we sequenced some out on Maschine. We brought them all into Fruity Loops so that we can have them all on one pattern. I show you right here where I have automation coming in and we have automation going out. The easy way to set up automation right there, having it trigger and start and stop itself at certain points just by automating the on and off switch for it. And there's a lot of other ways you can automate. And I've sequenced out the beat, and I've kind of just repeated it a few times. So once it gets to this point, it repeats itself. And it's basically how I make the beat. At this point, one thing that we haven't done that I need to do is turn on all my effects and play the beat. The CPU would probably crackle a little bit, but we're still going to play it. So hopefully you might be able to hear that. And then what we need to do is we need to go through our sounds and EQ a little bit. But that's about it for this video. So I appreciate everybody's support. This is another beat making video. Sorry if the volume's not too loud, but the mic's not right in front of me this time. I just wanted to make another beat making video, man, showing y'all how I go through and kind of do everything on the workflow. So you can't see the template in action because you can't see me pushing buttons on the MK3, but you can see a workflow. So just use some of these tips, some of these techniques in your workflow to keep it, you know, flawless and seamless between Fruity Loops and between Maschine. So yeah, usually I'll just go through and I'll start like fucking, you already know, like missing on my 808. Oh, loud as hell, that box. Alright, so the beat's a mess, but that's how I like it. I like to go ahead and make a big mess right there. A lot of people will say mix it as you go along, so it should all be done right now and perfectly mixed, but I like to kind of save the mix for after I create. It's just something I noticed over the years, that trying to get my mixes right was slowing me down from creating, if basically in a nutshell. So now I just try to focus on the creation and not have any of that popping up. I'm still at a point in my life where I really don't like my mixes all the way, but at the same time, I really feel like the melodies that I'm making in the beats, and sometimes I feel like it really doesn't matter. So somebody just needs to be creative and be a real artist and actually write something and record it. But go ahead and leave it like that. So that's it, man. Until next time, I hope everybody enjoy yourself today. I hope you learned something. Appreciate everyone that's getting the template, but just a quick recap, man. I showed y'all that we loaded up instruments inside of Fruity Loops. We made patterns, we labeled them, linked them to their own mixer channels, have them all in order. We went through, we did drums on Maschine. I did those hi-hats and all the snares on Maschine. I came through and I drew the kicks and stuff right here on Fruity Loops, so you can draw notes out here or you can put them on Maschine. If you put them on Maschine, once they're in Maschine, all you got to do is click on Maschine, go to your drums. I showed you the technique of dragging the drums MIDI notes out here into Fruity Loops. The template is not just this setup where it's all linked up with these that link up MIDI notes to trigger the pads. It's a lot more than that. It's about controlling Fruity Loops with different buttons and functions, plus all of that. This stuff you should be able to do on your own, setting up like this. So we have all the drum sounds set up, and then I showed you how we trigger automation. It's a good way to do automation. That way you can get it nice and neat, and you can even have it in place, on and off, right where you want it. Sometimes you want to have a line going up and down, so you can also do it just like this that way. I showed you how I went ahead and put the fade out on the beat. Where is it? Up top. So I showed you a lot of things, and I put the tag in there. And at this point, you know, this is where you mix the beat. Everything is linked up to its own mixer channel. So all we got to do is run through and put EQ on different sounds, try to get our balance on our mix. We have a lot of effects going on, so we need to figure out which ones are important. Oh my God, these effects are like, so we just run through like that. That delay is killing it. And basically mix it up. So that's it, man. Until next time, and I hope y'all enjoyed it. Maybe you even like the beat, even with it not being mixed just yet. But really, man, you can kind of get a flow for everything just by creating and save that for the last. But this is how we do it, man. This is what the playlist will look like when you've created it inside a Maschine and Fruity Loops. We can get a lot more advanced, man. Maschine opens up a lot of options because Maschine gives you the option to have different groups. I got, chord mode, art mode. I can hold buttons. I can push on the little mod strip and play notes on the strip. I can hold multiple pads and play an art between them and change the variation in the pattern between that. We can finger drum. I can load up different instruments. It's got effects. I can load up multiple groups. I can do perform effects. Think about all of that when you're bringing it into Fruity Loops. Don't keep it basic. Think about all the possibilities of what you can do. When it's in Fruity Loops, we have all of our effects that we can just regulate, all the third-party effects that we can bring in. We can really take advantage of the step sequencer and being able to go in and edit notes right here. And the best thing we can take advantage of is the playlist. I'm able to come in here, put small little breaks like this and that, and have stuff starting and stopping without having to make 100 scenes and patterns and stuff inside a Maschine. And they're flowing together. So just make sure you check out this. Appreciate everybody. Until next time, y'all take it easy. If you haven't already, check out my quick tips. It's 100 and something quick tips. They're all like a minute or two long. They show you how to do everything you need to know inside of Fruity Loops and inside a Maschine, just music production in general. So you have to watch that and you gotta get those tips. Till next time.